Right, welcome everybody to another Zoom video interview. This time I'm with Alex Robertson. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks, man. Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm all right. Thank you very much for asking. Yeah. Do you want to start by saying, where you started musically, how long you've been playing for, and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, sure. My music sort of it is, I mean, in the life sort of scale of things, I mean, I started a metal band when I was in secondary school with sort of my best friends, and we played for a few years, sort of thing, around the heavy metal circuit on, sort of around St Austell and Truro and places like that.
Right.
And sort of when we were sort of 18 or so, that kind of all broke apart, and we all went on to our sort of own thing. So yeah, I kind of, after that, I sort of just wanted to continue playing music, really. So I kind of just started playing acoustically, because I mean, I've always had an interest for sort of grunge, like Pearl Jam and sort of bands like that. I mean, great songs that you can just jam on an acoustic guitar.
Yeah, yeah.
And I kind of started off sort of just playing tunes like that, and kind of and eventually sort of develop my sound, I suppose, sort of from, I don't know, a lot of artists like sort of Hosier, Ben Howard, but Pearl Jam, essentially, like Eddie Vedder, I love him.
Right.
And
Yeah, yeah.
all of that whole kind of like, yeah, just big influences for me. And sort of, yeah, I guess kind of discovering all of that music, and over the years, and sort of growing up, and it sort of became a bit of my solo songwriting properly developed after I went away traveling for a little while, and sort of did the whole sort of backpacking thing for a few years,
Right.
and came home and was just like, I mean, I've got all of this stuff to write about, and I mean, I just, at the minute, I'm just sort of playing guitar and just like, it's great, and I've got all these doodles and little ideas, but I've not properly tried to write a song. And I mean, am I going to do this or not, sort of thing. So it was just like, right, cool, let's kind of go for it. And I mean, I met a lot of people when I was away that I was just jamming songs in the campsite that are like, oh, do you gig much? Do you write? Do you do this and that? And I'm just sort of replying no all the time to all of these
Right.
questions. And it was
Right.
just like, maybe I should actually start doing something. And it was actually when I was away that I met the first bunch of people that rallied together and persuaded me to go out busking, because I sort of found it terrifying. And went out, and we got a random collection of stuff, sort of all sorts, from actual money to kind of, I think someone threw in some gemstones, and like, not of any, like, just random little
Yeah,
things,
yeah,
just little trinkets. And I don't know, you collect all sorts of things aside from just money when you're busking sometimes,
yeah.
depending where you are. But it was a cool
Yeah.
experience, and I came home and I sort of decided I'm going to try and perfect a little bit what I'm doing, and sort of actually try and create a set list, and go out and try a bit of busking
Mm,
on my own.
mm.
And gradually more and more people sort of endorsed it, and it sort of just grew, I suppose. It
Right.
wasn't really
Right.
intended, sort of, um but yeah, I really enjoyed sort of starting to properly gig and having my own songs to perform, and yeah, so it's kind of
Mm.
gone from there, I suppose.
Do you sort of come from a musical family background? How, or are you unique in your family?
Yeah, no, not at all. I don't
Okay.
come, in a sense, I don't come from a musical family. I mean, my brother sort of used to sort of write music, and sort of write raps and lyrics and things like that. And he's a very, very good lyricist. He doesn't actively do anything musically anymore.
Okay.
But I mean, from time to time, he helps me out if I'm in a bit of a writer's block, and I can kind of call on him, and we can back and forth some ideas, and he can sort of help me out sometimes.
Nice.
Um, he's very, very talented. But he, no, he doesn't do anything musically anymore. But aside from that, no, I've got two other sisters that don't play anything. My parents don't play anything, or have
Mm,
never done anything musical. So it's just something that
okay.
I've always been interested in. I can just remember, as like, when I was sort of a young teenager, just wanting a guitar and wanting to sing and just wanting to play songs, and kind of, the like I said, the metal band that we started sort of like did all that for the time being. But growing up, it's just been something that's just always stuck with me. I've just always had this urge to, whatever I'm sort of processing through life, to kind of put it down in song form and
Right.
get it
Right.
out. And I've now got this
Okay.
collection of songs that I'm like, do I just sit here and play them, or do I try and try and do something with this?
Yes. Yeah. Did you find then that the lockdowns, or the first and now, was quite productive for you musically, or was it not?
I mean, it's been weird, really, because I mean, I've been sitting on a collection of recordings for the last year now, and they've not been released or published or anything. And I mean, I sent them to Introducing, and they played them and gave me some good support and feedback on them, which was really cool. But they were, essentially I did 6 songs with a guy that I met who was reaching out for someone to complete his final project of university with. So he was looking for a songwriter to record with, and I sort of reached out to him and played him my stuff, and he said it stood out and he really enjoyed it, so he was happy to do some work. So I did some bits with him and got these kind of collection of masters, and they were for his project, so I was kind of giving him my songs to produce as his work, and essentially I got the recordings back as for free,
Right.
so it didn't really cost me anything, so it was sort of a favor for a favor sort of thing. And ever since, sort of now, I've got these. I'm releasing half of them. So Cast Aside is the first one that I put out, which I think is just a perfect sort of. It's how I want the song to sort of sound, and how I hear it in my head when I wrote it. Is
Right.
with all of these harmonies and all this stuff going on, and stuff I can't obviously do by myself with the guitar. But it's how I intended the song to sort of be at its highest form, if you will, which is cool. So he was able to kind of create that and let me sort of hear what that sounded like. And the next 2 ones I'm bringing out, I've got Secret coming out next,
Right.
which is a sort of, I'm not sure how to describe Secret. It's sort of quite self-explanatory in the lyrics, but I mean, I'm sure you'll hear that one.
Yes.
And Rainy Day as well, which is a lap percussion sort of guitar song that I wrote as well. And that that one I wrote years ago. So, and it's sort of been on the back burner for a while. So lockdown has been weird, because I've sort of had this collection of music that I've been waiting to put out for a long time, and I've finally been able to sort of do it now. And so I've been focusing mostly on sort of gathering a campaign together for Cast Aside, putting that out at the start of, I mean, a pandemic release is probably quite ambitious, and I'm aware that I can't do any live work much at the moment, but I was admittedly getting into a bit of a sort of I think everyone has been suffering with something to keep them occupied through lockdown, not getting too distracted by the chaos.
Yep.
So it was sort of blessed in a way that I had this collection of recordings that I was sort of ready to sort of take up the next few months of marketing them, creating campaigns for these singles, and it's sort of seeing me through and giving me a good something to work with, and
Right.
which is quite good. So it's sort of it's come at a good time to release this music, and a bad time, because it's getting me through the lockdown, but it might not be the best time strategically to release music in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
As you hear many artists talking at the moment about just being advised not to release music right now because it's just not the time. But I mean, at my sort of starting point, and I mean, I'm the absolute ground level. I've not really got too much to lose, I don't think, at the minute. So and it's keeping me busy and giving me something to sort of do and keep me occupied. So
right,
yeah,
give you a bit of a focus.
More creativity in the lockdown of sorts.
Yes, but. Yeah. So is that the your future plan then? Are you looking at an EP or an album sort of launch type thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I've got about an album's worth of stuff under my belt at the minute, but I mean, I don't want to quite put it out as an album at the minute. So I think I'm going to do a couple more singles after the ones that I've got queued up at the moment, and after that, I think probably an EP. I reckon 4 tracks, just a sort of nice collection to sort of. Because my music at the moment is, I very much write to, I don't really keep too much of a strict trend with my music. I do and I don't in the kind of melody in the songs that I write. But I mean, they're all sort of like diary entries, which I suppose a lot of songwriters could say. But I'm not sure how to describe it really. But I mean, if I'm happy, I'll write a pretty upbeat, funky, quite nice tune. But if I'm sort of sad or whatever and struggling with something, I'll write a pretty heartfelt sad song. And I mean, a lot of my songs at the minute are taking this sad song sort of trend, so I don't want to sort of prolong that for the entirety of my career. I don't want to just be known for writing sad songs.
Yeah.
But I mean, for the time being, in the times that we're in, I mean, it's not, I mean, everyone's kind of suffering anyway, so I mean, I think it's not the worst time to release sad music. But I don't want to. I want to kind of put a cap on that, maybe with a record that is sort of a transition from that into kind of a new sort of a new and different, more evolved sound, which I'm not sure what that is yet. But I mean, that is music. I mean, I wasn't playing this kind of music 5 years ago, so.
Right. Would you want to stay as a solo act, or would you get like a band together to perform your music live? You know?
Yeah, well, I've got a drummer and a bass player on board at the moment that we
Okay.
haven't actually performed live at all yet, because it's sort of a product of the start of lockdown. We sort of decided to put this together, but basically they're two of my oldest best friends, and they're both free now in the sense that they can actually commit to doing a bit of music work with me, which is really awesome. But I don't know. I don't want to. I want to sort of recruit a small accompanying band, I think, just to sort of bring the songs a bit more to life, so we can kind of put more energetic live shows on and stuff. But
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
sure to the full extent what I want how big I want that band to be, and what I don't want to sort of overdo it, but I want to do it justice. So
No,
I'm not
that's
sure.
fair enough.
I think it's going to take a bit of experimenting with a few different people and sort of getting together and seeing what works and what doesn't work. But I definitely want to try a lot of different things, I think, over the next when we can.
Yes, I mean, do you enjoy more the sort of lyric side of it, making music, or do you know, is it the actual playing that you? I mean, aside from live, because obviously any musician being live is the the pinnacle of doing something. But
Yeah.
do you find that your songwriting is, how to explain it, enjoyable process for you, or is it a struggle? Is it how's it work for you?
I think if I'm ever struggling to write, then I pretty much give up immediately, because I don't ever try and force anything. I don't try too hard with it, because I think as soon as you try too hard, it starts coming out a little bit plastic. And
Yes.
so for me, my songs, I have constant panic attacks. I've not written anything for ages, but then sometimes getting into that angsty kind of panicky head state, I'll then churn out a song, and it will just come out completely erratically in a state of me almost stomping around with my guitar and
Yeah.
strumming all sorts of melodies, and just making noises with my just making vocal kind of noises, and just getting really weird with it. And then eventually you kind of hear a melody in what you're doing, and you sort of follow a sort of, I don't know, whatever, and eventually you just start muttering out lyrics. Then kind of I write from there. So it's sort of, it's just I have to get into quite a mood and a zone to write my songs. I can't just sit down with a pen and paper and write some lyrics and then put some chords to it, because I always just end up hating whatever it is, because it's just too, I don't know, it's just I just don't like it, just doesn't work for me.
No,
I
that's
know
fair enough. That is fair enough. Yeah.
my songwriting is quite manic.
Okay. So if people wanted to listen to your music, have you got stuff out there already, like on YouTube or wherever?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a small collection of videos on YouTube. I want to get some more up, but I mean, I need to sort of get just a bit of a better video recording setup. I mean, at the moment, I think I've got a sort of USB mixing desk and like a few programs and stuff, but it's all a bit overkill at the minute. So I want to sort of get rid of some gear and refine it all, and
Right.
and so I can just start making some better videos with a bit more of a simpler setup, because I think I've overcomplicated things with a lot of my
Okay.
stuff. So
Okay.
so I just want to sort of downsize a little bit, and
Right.
and get a better camera sort of thing, and
Okay.
start making more videos. But YouTube's not really, I feel a little bit awkward in front of cameras sometimes, so YouTube isn't my first sort of
Okay.
I mean, my focus is more on making a really good record that means something to me and that I can be proud of, and
Right.
hopefully mean to other people when they listen to it,
Okay.
and then just promoting that and performing those songs when I can, when I get the opportunities. But yeah, I do want to make more videos, but I don't want to. I don't think I could get into the habit of being like a 2 or 3 videos a week kind of guy, because
Okay.
yeah, it's not me.
I get that. I get that. I mean, normally what I ask for is from artists, if they've got a couple of videos on YouTube, that I can sort of tag it onto this interview, So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I think there's about 5 or 6, I think, on there that you can have a look through and choose from.
okay.
So
You don't mind which
yeah,
ones I put up, or?
no, not at all. You help yourself. Yeah, all
Okay,
good.
I'll do that. That's great. Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. So, I mean, basically, sort of like coming up towards the end of the interview now, in a sense. Is there anybody that you could, or you would like to thank for you being here musically where you are now?
Interest, yeah. Probably a long list of people, to be honest, because like I said, I mean, going way back, I mean, I've always kind of just had my guitar and sort of bumbled about playing little tunes and stuff, but there's been a hell of a lot of people from my trip to Australia, sort of sitting around the campsite and meeting all my friends over there that I sort of camped with for months on end, and all of those guys that sort of spurred me on to go busking for the first time, to I don't know, literally every single person I suppose I could thank for putting money in those busking hats when I did go out and actually perform. Because coming home from a little session in Padstow or something on my bike, I'd come home with my guitar on my back and not take an amp or a mic or anything. And one day I went out on Mother's Day, and I think I made about 70 odd quid in a couple of hours, and I couldn't believe it. I honestly couldn't believe it. And so I'll thank every single one of those people and every single other person that's ever contributed in such a nice way or come to a gig. Or but I mean, more close to home, I suppose, Benji is a guy who's just started up a local studio, who's been a massive support over the last few years, and he's just opened up a studio called Mission Control that he's sort of just getting off the ground with now, and it's a really, really cool space, and he's an absolutely 10 out of 10 dude. So big love to Benji for all your support. I mean, he put together my first little live EP that I never actually released or anything, but I've got here, and it's just a nice memory of the time I was playing with like a few other people a couple of years ago, and these songs are really, really sort of, just sort of being written and were completely different to what they are now, but it's just a nice sort of time capsule sort of memory, and it's all thanks to Benji that. So big thanks to him. And anyone else, once he sort of I don't know if he's advertising his services just yet, I'm not sure, but I think it's definitely around the corner if it's not quite at the moment. But definitely check out Mission Control Records in Padstow.
Okay, that's lovely. Alex, look, thanks for giving me the time for the interview.
Thanks for having me.
No, brilliant. And good luck with releasing anything you're going to release, especially, I must add, Cast Aside, because I really like that track. It's a great track.
Thank you. Like I said, I was very lucky to get the production value on that track that it had, because I could never have put something that great together myself, and I love the way that it was sort of engineered by the guy who did it. So I'm glad you like it too, man. That's really cool.
Right, brilliant.
Thank you for the nice feedback.
Lovely. All right, well, you take care, mate, and see you again soon.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, thank you, Craig. Yeah, you take care too.
Cheers, mate.
All right, see you, bud.